Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 114 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on May 24th, 2022. How you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. It is a sad day today, particularly here in Texas. In a town not too far away, there was a very bad thing that happened today. Many people were killed. The majority of those people were children. I'm not sure what to say about that. The community is very small, and I think everyone is in shock. Your prayers are appreciated, sincerely, and please keep the families in your thoughts. There are many families affected by this event. You know, I started recording this podcast several times, and I had to stop, and I was about to not do it. You know, but I don't want an event like this to stop something to affect others. You know, individuals that perpetrate such things, they're not really deserving of recognition or anything. They're not like us. So I'm going to do the podcast, and I think it's important. And the purpose of this podcast is to help educate the public at large regarding the behavior of silencers. Okay, that's why I do this podcast. It's to educate the public at large regarding the behavior of silencers as they are used to suppress small arm weapon systems. That's why I'm doing this. Essentially, the primary way I use this podcast is to document chronologically the research journey of the entity called Pew Science. Okay, the company I founded to take on this effort. And to that end, this episode of the podcast will go on as planned, and I will discuss the topics I have prepared to discuss with you. I've made that decision, and I'm gonna do it. Okay, you excuse me if I have to pause it here and there. I'm gonna probably have to do that, but I feel like this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm very fortunate to have all you folks listening. I really do appreciate it. And also very fortunate to have a few sponsors that help me do the podcast. I don't really feel like reading ads today. I will say that I'm very thankful to Silencer Shop for supporting the effort. I'm very thankful to True Shot Gun Club out of Arizona for supporting the effort as well. And I am thankful to all the Pew Science members that support Pew Science, because Pew Science supports this podcast. It's kind of a happy family together. So I do appreciate all of the support over the years, and it is heartwarming. Okay, so without further ado, I did prepare 3 topics to speak with you about today. I think they're pertinent topics. The first one is Sound Signature Review 675, the Otter Creek Labs Polonium on the Mark 18. That's right, it's 5.56 from a short barrel Mark 18. That's a 10.3 inch barrel. So this is the technical discussion for that review. That review was released last week, and so we'll go over that review today together, as typical, and we'll learn together. Okay, and then topic 2. Are we experiencing a 5.56 silencer renaissance? I posed this question on social media to some folks because I have noticed some things in the market, and I think the answer might be possibly. So we'll go over the results of that survey that I did on social media, and we'll talk about that. That's right. And then topic 3, there are significant parties in the firearm community who support Pew Science. T-Rex Arms is one of those, and there are other corporate members of the effort too, and they all help tremendously. I just wanted to specifically shout out those folks today, and also say that the biggest supporters are, in fact, the consumers. Most of you folks listening to the podcast that also support the effort, thank you. Okay, I just wanted to say that. Okay. So we are going to move into topic 1 at a time of 5 minutes and 32 seconds. I'm telling you, I'm not, guys. Like, I don't know if I'm a wuss or what, but I was like, I was crying, man. I couldn't do the podcast, and so I had to stop it. And I was like, oh, jeez. I hope those guys are okay. I mean, their families. I mean, it's never going to be the same. The community. I don't know what you do after that. I don't know what you do. All right, topic 1, Sound Signature Review 675, Otter Creek Labs Polonium on the Mark 18. That's right. Oh, boy, howdy. And I hate that this podcast is clouded by that unfortunateness. But I, if you know me, and many of you who don't know me personally might not know this about me, but it is very difficult for me to hide my feelings. If I'm happy, you're going to know it. If I'm upset, you're going to know that too. And that's just the way I am. And it's the way I've always been. And I'm upset right now, man. I tell you what, I'm pissed. I'm sad. I'm angry. But it's so fresh, But I tell you what. And so it sucks. It sucks. That obviously is horrible. But also this podcast, I was going to talk about this polonium, I don't really have time to do this later. I got a schedule. All right. I got things to do. So we're doing it now. So I'm going to try to do this justice. There's a lot to talk about. And I think once I get in a rhythm, I'll be all right. So we're going to plow through. Now, this polonium. What in tarnation? I'm telling you, I'm holding it right now. This Otter Creek Labs polonium. It is interesting. It is definitely an interesting silencer. It's marked 556, but it's a dedicated 556 silencer. That's right. Technically, it's a 243 silencer. For those coyote hunters out there, bless up. That's right. 6mm in metric communist units. I say 243 because this is America. Okay? No, it's pretty much a dedicated 556 silencer in that it's not a 30 caliber silencer. Okay, and that's something that I think is important to say. In the industry lately, the parlance has somewhat shifted, I think. It has, and the zeitgeist, as it were, right? The the knowledge base, the proliferation of information. Guys, we picked the Mark 18 to do this, and it's brutal. Okay, it is. And it's certainly showing the limits of silencer technology on 556. Okay, we're seeing that. And with every single review, I get more happy that we picked the Mark 18. Okay, I do. It's the gauntlet. I'm going to start calling it the gauntlet. For those silencers that can achieve superb suppression, it's a gold medal. I mean, and you wear it proudly. It's a gold medal. It's a trophy case situation, I think, For the silencers that struggle, it's not for lack of trying. You see it. You see it on the in the reviews. I mean, it's not for lack of technology, or frankly lack of overall performance. Really, it's for lack of specificity. The lack of true 556 silencer nature, I think, and the lack of the true the 556 by 45 NATO suppression pedigree. I think it's something that is it a long lost art? Is it from yesteryear? Is it, oh, they have high back pressure, we don't want to do that anymore? You know what I mean? Is it one of those things? You know, I don't know. This is the gauntlet, though. It is, and yeah, you know, we're seeing the mighty fall. We're seeing the mighty fall victim to the Mark 18. We are, and we're seeing this, the strong players, new and old. Yeah, many casualties of war. Really, what we're seeing, and we're not out of the woods. You know, we're not out of the woods yet, and no, the battle rages on. Yeah, it does. The body count is more numerous now for these silencers, and you got to wonder who's going to be left standing. You know, short barrel 5.56, it's a monster, dude. Who's going to be left? Like we're testing all of these silencers, and it is killing them. You're seeing performance that is not awesome, are you? I mean, is it? You're like, can anything tame it? You're gonna have to stay tuned, baby. Pew Science, that's right. No, I digress. But Sound Signature Review 675. 75 reviews. 75. What in tarnation? What am I doing? Jay's going off the rails. He's losing his mind, literally. That's right, man. I don't know. I'm opening the review right now on the website. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get in a rhythm. I am not happy right now. I'm so sad. It's really freaking sucks, dude. This is not cool. Okay. Pull up Sound Signature Review 675. Okay. You can follow along at home. In fact, I encourage it. I do. You know, if you're driving or you're busy or otherwise, if you don't want to follow along, that's okay. You don't have to. It's not mandatory by any means, but it's just something you can do to enhance your pleasure, okay, or your experience. To enhance your experience. So the Polonium on the Mark 18. That's right. Contracted work. That's right. This is a contracted test program. So thank you to Otter Creek Labs for trusting me to perform the work. It takes some pretty big trust, some big cojones as well. It takes some big balls. Okay, it takes some big balls to contract with Pew Science for testing. It does. I mean, I'm just going to come right out and say it. I don't think that anyone would disagree with that. I think it takes some brass balls to send me a silencer, pay me to test it, and then see where the chips fall. And I work very, very, very hard to do it right. And I think I did a pretty good job. And so thank you, Andrew. If you're listening, it means a lot that you let me do it. It's a pleasure, and I think I did it right. And I hope you see that. Now, 37.7 composite suppression rating. Okay, that's for the Polonium on the Mark 18. 37.6 at the muzzle. Really, really amazing. I cannot stress to you, folks listening, how amazing that suppression rating is at the muzzle on the Mark 18. You need to really listen to me when I say that. And I'm physically holding the silencer in my hands right now. This is not a large silencer, guys. What does the review say? What's the length of it? Hold on a second. I have the review up right now. It's 5.8 inches in length without a mount. So I have actually took the mount out of it. So the silencer body is 5.8 inches in long. I have an RC2 right next to it here in my hands. It's shorter than RC2. Now keep in mind the RC2 also has a mount collar with it, so that it's cheating a little bit. So I'm just saying, like, size wise, without a mount, if you were to get a small mount, the Polonium's not that long. And I'm telling you, for a silencer not that long, and I tested it with the direct thread mount, to achieve 37.6 of the muzzle on the Mark 18 is non-trivial. Okay? How do we know that? Well, we have comparisons, and we'll talk about that later in this topic, but we have context now. So context is important, and I know you understand that it takes a while to build context with Pew Science. Thank you for your patience, but we have done so. Okay, so that's 37.6 of the muzzle. Now, at the ear, the rating is significantly different, and that's 19.7 at the shooter's ear. That's right. And it's somewhat expected. And if you're new to Pew Science, welcome. You picked a hell of an episode of this podcast to start listening to. I promise I'm not usually in a somber mood. I try to be positive, and I try to be upbeat. And you just picked a day. It could have been any other day. Okay? Just is what it is. So, welcome. Thank you for listening. Take a seat, relax, have a drink. We're all friends. We're all friends here. It's a friendly community. But watch your drink if you go to the bathroom, because this is the Mark 18. Okay? No. Okay, so see, I'm going to get it back on track, guys. Okay. At the muzzle, the Polonium is wrecking shop, though. I want to go back to that point. The Polonium is wrecking shop, and it's breaking hearts. It's breaking hearts, dude. We'll talk about how it stacks up to some other silencers. I do want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about some technical things, and I want to talk about the ear stuff. Because at the ear, the hearing damage risk is higher. And I didn't really read this to you guys in the intro like I usually do regarding the ad for Pew Science. But remember, the suppression rating is directly tied to hearing damage risk. Forget about, and actually sometimes I don't want to use the word quiet or loud. I really, really want you guys to focus on hearing damage risk, because that's what it is. This is a risk matrix, dude. When you go to the rankings section in pewscience.com, that is a risk matrix. When you see low numbers, you are experiencing higher risk. Okay, in every single review, under the main suppression rating graphic, there is a chart. It has suppression rating on the vertical axis, and then gunshots with unprotected ears on the horizontal axis, and there is a scale, a graduated scale. That is a risk chart, dude. That is a damage risk criterion. And you need to, if you need to be told that again, or if you need to hear it again, good. If you've never heard me say it, okay, you're hearing it now. But the silencer sound standard is based upon hearing damage risk. It is not for funsies. Okay? That's why it's there. It's the best you're gonna get. I say that not to sound pompous or conceited. I'm trying not to, I don't want to sound like I'm that guy trying to be full of myself. I'm telling you, the very fact that I'm even putting this on the internet is a risk for me. So why do you think someone else is going to do it? You feel me? And if you don't think those conversations are being had right now, I got news for you. They are. Okay? This is not something you do if you're interested in selling silencers or selling products at all. This is not something you do. It is high risk to do this. It is high risk to show hearing damage risk in the silencer industry. I promise. Okay, so I know I'm going off on this side tangent right now. I think it's important to listen to it, because this isn't playtime, and I don't want you guys to think, oh, it's just a rating and it's I've seen people say, they're like, oh yeah, well that's just the rating he uses. No. It's not the rating I use. It's the rating that that is. It's based on hearing now in inner ear response. It uses the overpressure loading and the waveform parameters as input into the hearing damage models, and we've correlated everything, and it sweeps out to the curve you see on the suppression rating chart. It's a curve. It looks like a straight line. Why? Curves become straight when logarithms are involved. You feel me? Yeah. Remember the logarithmic nature of everything we do? Yeah. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that for now. When I use the term risk, I'm using it loosely. I'm not giving you a probability and a consequence every time I talk so that you can compute a risk, but I am giving you the suppression rating. And it's tied to both of those things. Now, isn't it? If you forget, read section 5 of the standard. It's all in there. Okay? Okay. I'm going to get a drink of water because I'm losing my voice now. How am I? What are we? Okay, we're 20 minutes in. I haven't even touched this topic yet, basically. This is going to be great. Okay. Okay. At the shooter's ear with the Polonium on the Mark 18 with 5.56 by 45 ammunition, 10.3 inch barrel. The stock Mark 18, the shooter's going to have some higher risk to their ears with the Polonium. And we can talk about why. And I think that's a good way to approach this. So what I want to do, as always, is I want to go back to basics, okay? Let's take a look at the raw data. This is Pew Science. This is real testing. This is high fidelity. We use PewSoft for a reason. We must understand the nature of the silencer on the weapon. We must understand its essence, okay? The essence of the system. Okay, we need to start talking about systems. Excuse me. We need to talk about the nature of the silencer on the weapon. And for the essence of the system, for that, to get to that, what do? We go to the fingerprint. We examine the silencer's fingerprint. Scroll down in the review. If you have the review open, review 675, you've already looked here at the main suppression rating graphic. Scroll down all the way down to figure 1. That's right. There's figure 1A and there's figure 1B. What do you see immediately? What do you see immediately when you look at figure 1A and 1B? In 1A, forget about the numbers, okay? The numbers on the vertical axis, don't look at those right now. The vertical axes in these two graphs, don't look at those. Okay? And the waveform features in figure 1B, don't even look at those. Let your eyes blur. Kind of cross your eyes, look at them blur. What do you see? What are you used to seeing with 5.56 silencers on the Mark 18 from PewSoft in figure 1A? Blowdown and a bolt closing signature. Right away, when you look at figure 1A, you know what you should think? Whoa, pressure is decaying at an exponential rate, and there seems to be a late time bolt closing event. That should just roll off the tip of your brain. Right away, you should see that and be like, I know what that is. You should be so familiar with these waveforms. You should be able to look at that and be like, I know what this is. You remember that movie True Lies? When Arnold Schwarzenegger is being interrogated by the terrorist cell who's captured him and his wife, and he's essentially in deep cover, for most of his time there. He's like a case officer. They don't really use the term CIA, but they're talking about, it's a movie. And he's being interrogated, and they're like showing him, and they want like proof of, they want to show the world that they're powerful. So they have this nuclear warhead, and it's some kind of Russian model or something. And they show it to Arnold, and they're like, do you know what this is? And he's like, I know what this is. This is a water heater. It's like, no, it's an espresso machine. And he's like trolling him, because he's trying to like, make it seem like he doesn't know that it's a nuclear warhead, and like he doesn't know all of the characteristics about it. That's what it should be like this. If you're captured behind enemy lines, and they ask you, well, what is do you know what the signature is? I mean, you should play dumb, first of all, because if you're captured, please, protect the secrets at all costs. But eventually they're going to, they might torture you. And then, of course, you'll just say, I know what this is. This is a muzzle signature, 1 meter left of the silencer's end cap, a 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO ammunition through a silencer on a 10.3 inch barrel. And in late time, you can clearly see the bolt signature closing. And they'll be like, oh my God, we have the right guy. And then, you got to kill them and save the day. Like Arnold did in the movie. See, it can be great. But you see, right? The point is you're familiar with the signatures in Figure 1A because they're consistent. You've seen this before. You feel me? You're becoming, all of you are becoming experts. How do you become an expert at something? Repetition and practice. Diligence. Rigor. It's consistency. How do you become an expert in something? You do it over and over and over again. You make mistakes. You learn. You're all becoming experts. All of you. Okay? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it more closely. Let's test your knowledge. Okay? What do you see? You see the bolt closing signature. That closing signature, when is it happening? It's around 75 milliseconds or so, give or take, on the horizontal axis there, Figure 1A. Remember, horizontal axis is time. Vertical axis is pressure. Okay? So that sound pressure pulse, you see it around 75 milliseconds in Figure 1A. That's the bolt slamming home. That's chambering the next round. That's right. And you don't see it in Shot 6, do you? You don't see it in Shot 6. Why? Why? It's because Shot 6 was the final shot, and the bolt carrier group locked back. Didn't it? Why? Well, magazine follower pushed the mag release button all the way up. It engaged the bolt catch there. Yeah. That's what we call the bolt locking back on an empty mag. That's what you see in Shot 6. All of that can be discerned just from that figure of squiggles. Just from that pretty picture, as some of the Pew Science critics like to say, oh, he has pretty pictures. Well, they're more than pretty pictures. Now, what's special about the time at which the bolt closes and it chambers that new round? What's special about that time? There is something important about it. After that main pressure pulse in the figure, and you go and you see the signature at 75 milliseconds, what's special about that time? Well, you got to know something here. I keep the trigger time pretty constant in these tests for a reason with PewSoft, and I want to show you something here. Yeah, what I'm showing you, bit by bit, is the weapon kinematics of the standard Mark 18 weapon system with a carbine, buffer spring, and an H2 buffer. Okay? These are constant kinematics, constant inertial resistance and spring resistance, and those are coupled with constant spring stiffness and constant mechanical unlock delay from the constant dimensions of the cam path in the standard bolt carrier. It's the Daniel Defense bolt carrier in the Mark 18. That's right. This is all constant. These are all constants. And it's a standard test host. And that's why I use a standard test host. You see why this is so important? All these tiny, tiny little details are important. It's silencer sound standard, baby. This is not by accident, and it's not easy. So, when you use constants, you can eliminate variables. Yeah. Now, are all the variables eliminated? Well, no. No, they're not. One variable that is not eliminated completely is the resistance of fouling in the upper receiver. That fouling in the upper receiver, there is resistance associated with that for the reciprocation of the system. Okay? As the bolt carrier group travels rearward, it's a non-zero contributing factor, okay? Can fouling slow the travel of the bolt carrier group? Yes. Is it significant? Well, it can be. It can be. I don't know if some of you who've shot 5.56 silencers on weapons and had the weapons significantly dirty, you can kind of start to feel them getting sluggish. I mean, at high round counts, depending on your gas impulse of your system, it can really be rifle dependent. The point is, it can be significant. But was it this time in this test? No. I try to test with a weapon that's in good condition, right? So, but nonetheless, sometimes there's variation, and it turns out if you're on your game in test apparatus setup, it's pretty dang uniform most of the time. Okay, and I say this in the review too, but I want to say it now. The fouling, it really doesn't influence the sound signature much. Okay. But what being able to view the timing of these bolt closing signatures does is it offers us a direct window into the weapon kinematics, okay? So I don't want you to lose sight of this. Just because it's not always reliable, it's still really good. And so this window that it's offering, this window that it's opening for you to see into, it's not the most high fidelity window, but it's certainly a useful one. And most importantly, and you got to keep this in mind, it's pretty consistent. Okay? And that's really what we're looking for here. So, I say all this. I say all this in this long-winded way because I want you to check out when the bolt is closing using the Polonium and remember that time range in your head. Okay? It's closing around 75 milliseconds or so. You feel me? Okay, remember that number. Now, if you scroll down in the review, I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. Okay, I've linked some other silencers. I'm going to click on them. I'm going to go to Saker, click in that link. It's opening a new tab. Okay, now I'm going to click the Surefire. Okay, clicking back to that, I'm going to click the Trash Panda. Okay, I'm going to trip the Rugged Razor 762. Okay, and I'm going to click the Helios. Okay, so I clicked all these. I got 5 tabs open now in my browser here. So we can look. Why don't we do that? Let's do it in real time. Why not? Helios. I'm just going in the order now. The tabs are open. Helios. Scroll down. Okay, bolt closing is around 85 or so. Okay, it's later in time. Interesting. Rugged Razor 762. Let's scroll down. Oh, 85 to 90. Interesting. Okay. Trash Panda. Scroll down. Okay. 84 to 85. Okay, interesting. Still kind of far in time. Okay, what about the RC2? Scroll down. 80. A little bit sooner than those other silencers. Okay. Saker. Let's go to the Saker. Scrolling down. About 75. 75 or so. Okay, so we'll go all the way back to the Polonium and Sound Signature Review 675. And what was that number again? Oh, it was around 75. Oh, well, that was similar to the Saker, wasn't it? Okay, that was in real time. I just did that in real time with you. That was a real-time exercise. Okay, and you could have done that too, following along at home, but you didn't have to. Okay, so we took a look at all those. And what do we know about the Saker? We know the Saker has high back pressure. Everyone knows that, actually. It's fairly common knowledge at this point in the industry. For several years. In the silencer industry, for several years, with consumers and manufacturers, people know that the Silencer Co. Saker 556 has high back pressure. Doesn't it? That's right. Not debatable. It's widely known, widely proliferated silencer on the market, in fact. What else do we know? We know that as you open the bore of a silencer in 556, for example, when you start to use bores more appropriate for 30 caliber projectiles in silencers, you start to restrict less flow. You start to increase flow rate. You start to reduce back pressure. Things like the Trash Panda, the Razor, the Helios QT. I just read you the times. They're later in time. So what are you doing when you're observing Figure 1A and those plots in Figure 1A of all those reviews? What are you doing? Well, you can view the closing times and you can compare them. And guess what? The higher the back pressure, typically, the faster the bolt's going to close. Why? The bolt moved back faster, so it comes forward into battery sooner. You've sped up the whole thing. You've sped up the whole system. You feel me? That's all there is to it. Okay? The faster it goes back, the sooner it's going to come back. Let me say that more clearly. The faster the bolt carrier group moves rearward, the sooner it's going to come forward. Okay? That's right. The higher the back pressure of the silencer, the earlier in time that closing signature is going to be in relation to the primary pressure pulse. You feel me? Okay. I'm get a drink of water 1 second. I am losing my voice. Okay, that's right. So, based upon that metric, this metric that I'm speaking with you about, that metric alone, just that metric alone, what do you see? Well, the polonium makes the bolt come back about as fast as a Saker does, and the other silencers make it come back slower. Okay. That's a semi-quantitative metric. Yeah? Faster or slower? You can see that. It's pretty easy thing to see. Now, is this the end-all be-all of quantifying flow restriction or back pressure? Absolutely not. It's absolutely not the end-all be-all. Now, is it 100% accurate and consistent every time as related to back pressure? No, absolutely not, because there are factors like upper receiver fouling, and we talked about it. I mentioned it. I just mentioned it to you here. I've mentioned it in the review. Okay, so be careful using it as an indicator, but it does exist, okay? And it's good to understand why. And that's why I'm mentioning it, okay? I want you to see it. I want you to understand it. I want you to verify the data pedigree, because I want to make sure there are no guesses about whether or not this is real. Okay? The only way to truly understand the complete signature from suppressed small arm weapon systems is to measure the entire thing and then explain it to you. I'm very hardline on this. That's Pew Science. And if you like it, you do. If you don't, maybe this isn't the podcast for you. And that's okay. All right? But from the very first day I showed the world PewSoft, people asked me what it was for, and then they tried to buy it. And I got news for you. Buying a hammer doesn't make you be able to build a house. Okay? Let me help you. Let me teach you, and then you can build your house. You feel me? Okay, let's do it together. I'm telling you, people got mad at me, and instead you should be patient, and then you'll have the answers. Just wait, and you'll figure it out, and everyone can do it. This is for everybody. I've said it before. I'm so oh my God, you're not listening. Okay, so right now you have one indicator that the polonium might restrict flow. A little more than some of the silencers tested so far, right? That's what we've shown. Makes sense. We haven't talked about pressure magnitude yet. We haven't talked about decibels or anything like that. So far, we've only talked about time. Just time. Dynamic event timing. That's all we've talked about. Okay? So let's get a little more complicated and look at the waveform features. We can do that now. You're ready? I don't be scared. You're ready. Let's go to figure 1B. Figure 1B. In this figure, I have only placed 2 shots. Shot 1 and shot 2. I kept it simple. I wanted you to see things. Now, I'm going to click on it, make it bigger so I can see a little bit bigger too. Oh, perfect. Okay, there we go. It's good having a big computer monitor so I can kind of have multiple windows open. So, starting out, you have pretty much complete silence, more or less. And then something starts to happen in both shots. Something starts to happen. You get precursor shock entering the silencer. We've talked about that before. Then you get the bullet entering the silencer, yeah? Then you have muzzle blast entering the silencer, don't you? You do. And then you get the bullet coming out of the silencer. And that bullet throws a shockwave off of it. There's a shockwave that comes right off that bullet as it travels supersonically right upstream of the end cap there. And then for a very brief moment in time, everything kind of just gets quiet. There's no gas coming out. And then you see what's happening, what the polonium is doing, what the polonium does. Be a gas trap. That's right, traps gas. Then you start to get the muzzle blast. And during the first shot, you see there's two shots. Remember, shot one is the black, shot two is the blue. During the first shot, there's something going on. The inside of the silencer got very, very, very hot relative to how it was before the shot happened, didn't it? And there was air in the silencer, wasn't there? That's right. You got extra propellant in there. You got air in there. There's heat. Boy, howdy, does more burning take place. And then you get that wham! You get that muzzle blast coming out pretty strongly. Yeah. It continues to be suppressed. It does. And eventually the pulses get large enough that we reach what we call the peak FRP. That's right, the highest peak transient during the FRP event, first round pop. The first round pop event, the FRP event, consists of the entire first shot. Before combustion takes place, all the way until the combustion is gone. FRP is not one number. It is an entire holistic event. Okay, never forget that. It's very important. It's a fundamental. That's a Pew Science fundamental. There's a silencer fundamental. First round pop is not one number. Get that out of your head. You've seen that beaten into your head for decades now. It's over. Stop. Forget it. Throw it away. Take that out of your brain and throw it away. First round pop is not one number. It is an entire holistic event. Never forget it. Okay. Now, shot two. Same thing. Same song, different verse. You feel me? Look, now you're looking at the blue curve. Look at the blue curve instead of the black curve. Notice anything similar, anything different? Similar thing is that you still get combustion in early time, and it's basically the same, right? You're still getting muzzle blast into the silencer. Okay. You're still putting precursor flow into the silencer. The physics of the weapon have not changed. Okay, they're pretty dang consistent. You can argue about ammunition all day long. I can tell you when you know what you're measuring, it's pretty close, guys. It's pretty close. Relax. You know what I mean? Now, you're still putting a bullet into the silencer, and you're still letting a bullet out of the silencer too. But now in shot two, the air is consumed. You've created an oxygen-deficient atmosphere now in the silencer, you see. I mean, air is mostly nitrogen, but you've done things with the oxygen that was in the air there. If you were a tiny man in the silencer, like shrunk down, like, riding the Magic School Bus, you know what I mean? You ever seen that cartoon, Magic School Bus? Brilliant cartoon. Very important cartoon. Very good. Love that cartoon. This teacher would take her kids in the school bus, shrink the school bus down. They go into the human body and stuff. He was wild, dude. So awesome. I recommend it. Good cartoon. I don't know where you watch it nowadays. I don't know. It's probably not on Netflix, is it? I don't know where you watch that. I mean, you can download it. So if you were on the Magic School Bus and you were in the silencer during shot two, not shot one, but shot two. Let's pretend, okay, you want to die from the shot. Let's pretend you're in Magic School Bus and you're in the silencer, but you're in it right after shot one. If you went outside the school bus, if you rolled down that school bus window and you put your head out, you would not be able to breathe as a human, would you? No, the atmosphere would be devoid of oxygen. And actually, there'd be toxic gases. It'd be like stepping out of your spacecraft onto Venus, really, sort of, roughly, without a suit on. You would die. Bad for you. That's bad for you. Good for suppression, though. Oh, boy, howdy, is that good for suppression. That's what you want. You can see that blue curve takes much longer to build. Yeah. You get more delayed combustion byproducts out of the silencer. It's delayed pressure pulse. That's what that is. You're now experiencing, you are in the zone of what we call pure signature. Pure suppression from the polonium. This is the true behavior of the silencer in shot 2. This is the silencer's fingerprint, the true fingerprint in shot 2. This is what happens. Okay? It's without air influencing the ancillary combustion. This is consistently what you would see if you shot it over and over and over again. Kind of. We can talk about it. It does get a little more complicated depending on the rate of fire, but we can talk about that. But to see, I mean, I'm going baby steps here. We can go real deep anytime we like. You know, we're driving down this winding mountain road, and I can take you off the cliff at any time, but I'm trying not to. I'm trying to stay in the guardrails for now. Okay, so let's look at what let's look at what the gross behavior looks like. Okay, just sprunk a little calculus on it and jump to impulse space. Check out figure 2. Figure 2, scroll down. Okay, figure 2. Let me get some water 1 second. Okay. Figure 2A. You see the areas under the pressure curves projected in the time domain. So if you marched along the pressure curve and at every time step you took into account how much pressure built, that's what you would see. And you see that the first shot in figure 2A has impulse that occurs earlier in time, and it gets to its maximum faster too. That's right. The black curve is steeper and faster and higher. Yeah. More pressure is being expelled from the end cap of the silencer at a faster rate. We just talked about why it's artificial. Why? Byproduct of extra air in the silencer, just like we discussed. Now, after that, all the curves are right on top of each other in figure 2A, aren't they? That's right. They're right on top of each other after that, pretty much, more or less, kind of. It's beautiful, really. It's pretty smooth. It's pretty consistent data. Kind of proud of it, honestly. Pretty good test, I think. What else do you notice, though? What else do you notice about all the colors of the rainbow after the black curve? Shots 2 through 6, what do you notice? You notice they're gradual, aren't they? They're more gradual than shot 1 was in impulse space. The slopes, the initial slopes. Well, how gradual are they? How gradual are those slopes? How gradual are the initial slopes of the impulse waveforms in figure 2A for the Otter Creek Labs Polonium from the Mark 18 compared with all of the other silencers shown to you so far on the Mark 18? I can tell you, because I've calculated it, these slopes are the shallowest. And what does that mean? It means that the Otter Creek Labs Polonium has the highest omega metric, specifically the highest omega 506 omega metric. That's right. The polonium is predicted to have the highest back pressure or highest flow restriction in the public data set so far. That's a big statement I just said. I've been talking for almost an hour. I just said something really, really big. And some people don't believe me when I say it. But what did I just tell you? How do we know this? Well, we saw the timing of the bolt closing in figure 1A. We saw the wave shapes and their timing in figure 1B. We saw the slopes in figure 2A. And now we have the exact computation of the omega metric research parameter when I closely examined the waveforms in figure 2B, like you see really close in there in figure 2B. I can look at it real close. I can zoom in as much as I want, all the way to the complete resolution of the data at every microsecond. That's how much data we collect every single shot. That's right. So those 4 factors that I just described, that I just listed, are how we know. And there's even more. But that's not all. There's more. That's right. What else would show this? What else would show that it has the highest back pressure? Well, given that the silencer also has a pretty wide disparity in muzzle and ear suppression ratings, we talked about that in the very beginning of the topic, one would surmise, given what you've seen on the Mark 18 so far, that the flow restriction is real. It's causing the bolt to unlock a little more early than the other silencers, isn't it? That's right. Consistent behavior with what's being shown. Everything's consistent. Yeah. Okay, so I just went really detailed, right? I want you to take a drink, take a breather, rewind it if you have to. Okay, the time is now 50 minutes and 53 seconds. Okay, pause it and take a break and come back, okay? I'm gonna go on for a second, guys. Let me take a drink of water. Man, I wanted to get to that part. Those figure 2s, 2A and 2B. I wanted to go hard in the paint until I got there. I feel like I just made these points, to you. I know you guys have seen this before. Not the silencer specifically, but you've seen me talk about this stuff. I think sometimes I'm getting some questions that I don't think I would get if people would hear the things I just said. So I figured going through this exercise with you real quick was, I think, valuable. And I know that some of you are like super smart and you catch on real quick. So I thank you for your patience as I went through all that. I know that sometimes folks might find it redundant, okay? But remember, Pew Science is bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's for everybody. So sometimes we have to kind of regroup and take a lap, okay? Okay. Sometimes you got to take a lap. Okay, are you back? Everyone get their water and get your Cheetos or whatever you eat. Okay. Oh, I could go for some Cheetos right now. Man, my girl just got back. She got some Freebirds. I don't know if you know what Freebirds is. It's like they make burritos. They're pretty good. I think she got me a good one. I'm so hungry. Oh man, I love her so much. I'm so hungry right now. Okay. Now, again, I went really slowly and gradually in that technical discussion. And again, I probably repeated some things that you folks already know, but I want to make a very strong and firm point now for everybody. Now that you're back, everyone's listening. I want to make a very strong and firm point for those new to Pew Science and those new to the podcast, because I know there's a lot of new people listening right now. This data pedigree is consistent. Okay? And this is not me playing games and showing you what I want to show you and hiding what I don't want to show you and marketing a product. This is not me marketing a product. Okay? I do not do that. You can call it whatever you want and you can say this is marketing if you want. But if you say that and you listen to this and all of these 100 and what is this? 100 episode? What is this? Is this episode 114? If you listen to me speak for hundreds of hours and you still say it's marketing, well, I don't think there's any convincing you of anything else. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So what I'm trying to show you is I'm trying to show you what it looks like when data is consistent and what the data means, dude. And it's for a reason. I mean, over the past few years, man, I've done the same thing over and over again. And I've done it so that you both understand it and that you trust it. Because your trust is everything, you see. Trust is earned by the teaspoon and it's lost by the bucket. And the number of teaspoons I have filled with pedigree, with data worthy of the pedigree for you, is non-trivial. Okay, the amount of teaspoons. I'm filling this bathtub by the teaspoon, dude. I know I'm stretching this analogy far, but bear with me. You feel what I'm saying to you? I'm literally filling a bathtub by the teaspoon. And I and you and everyone listening and supporting this effort is building the most comprehensive and significant catalog, library, database, compendium of suppressed small arms sound signature research ever seen on Earth by human beings. Okay? This is for you. This is Pew Science. Now, and that's why I went slow like that. Because I want you to understand the entirety. If you look at one thing, you'll maybe miss it. But if you take a step back, let your eyes go blurry, and you zoom out and you look at it like you're zooming out on Google Earth on your computer, and you're looking, you say, "Oh man, what an interesting street sign that is!" And you start to scroll out, you're like, "Oh, there's a planet here." Yeah. Don't miss the forest for the trees. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let's talk about some bottom line stuff because it's important. The polonium is good at trapping gas. I have proven it to you, and it's really good at it. The polonium's really good at it, and that's not all. That's not all. In addition to being a good gas trap, it does so relatively efficiently for the length, and that's important. And it does that with normal materials and interesting geometry. Okay, the baffle stack and the polonium, look, it's outside the scope of what I can speak with you about. It's not my story to tell. But the blast baffle, because you can see it easily, yeah, it's something I will say has been done before. The blast baffle, the way they've done it, you can see it in the silencer. It's easy to see right there. I'm not giving anything away. It's been done before in some ways, and it's smart what Otter Creek has done. They reversed the angle. I don't know if you noticed that. They reversed the angle. When you have a high pressure dynamic load impacting a surface, you want to, and this is, I don't want to lose you here, but what you want to do is, in general, you want to avoid maximum reflection factor, is what we call that. You want to change what we call the angle of incidence, so that the wave reflections don't coalesce to the same degree. So that's what Otter Creek Labs, they really did something similar to what is done in the Saker. Funny enough. The blast baffle cone angle is inverted. And so what it does is it converges instead of diverges. Okay, so in layman's terms, what this allows you to do, and this is important, what this allows you to do is it allows you to go ham for longer and more often without completely destroying the blast baffle quickly. That's what it does. It's a geometric feature of the silencer. It's a geometric design. It's not material based. I haven't even told you. I haven't even said the material of the silencer. It doesn't matter. This is geometry. This is load. This is load structure interaction. Is what this is. It's exactly what it is. Okay. Now, I haven't performed durability testing on the polonium. I've just not done that. But I'm confident that the blast baffle will last longer than if you had made the angle the reverse of what it is. If you had it diverging instead of converging. I think if it was a traditionally shaped baffle in the geometry shown instead, I think you would eat the baffle mouth for breakfast. But you probably don't. I would guess. I'm guessing. But I guess you probably wouldn't. Now, I know the barrel length restriction is basically Mark 18 for the polonium for 5.56. I think that's what Andrew put on the website there. I want to say it's 10.3 or 10.5 or whatever you put. So don't go crazy with this polonium without calling Otter Creek. And you contact them, you ask them, and they'll set you straight. I mean, they made it, right? They designed it and they manufactured it, so they know it. Now, Excuse me, 1 minute. Let me get a drink of water. Now then, there is no free lunch in this world. There is no free lunch. I've said this a couple times, and I mean it. Sometimes you have to rob Peter to pay Paul. And Otter Creek did rob Peter. Peter being the signature of the shooter's ear at a standard Mark 18. They did rob him. Members, now this is important. Scroll down. I'm in the member review. If you're a member, you should, please, I implore you, go to the member review 6.75 of the Silencer Sound Standard. If you're a member, please look at the ear waveforms. The plots show you some things. The things you see in those plots are similar to what you saw in the member section of the Sacred Review, actually. Right? They are. And so this is what happens when you have high back pressure on the Mark 18. Okay? It is. And it's telltale signs textbook, really. To my knowledge, and I know this might sound conceited, but I think this is worth saying. To my knowledge, I believe Pew Science remains the only entity presenting information like this to the public. It is possible that Pew Science is the only entity presenting information like this at all. I'm not sure about that, but nobody has reached out to me and sent me any of their data like this, dude. I mean, my data's on my website, bro. pewscience.com. It's there. So I don't need to send my data to anyone because I've sent it to the whole world now. You feel me? So I've done that. So why isn't anyone sending me theirs? Weird, right? Isn't that weird? You would think that, like, if they were saying that it wasn't right, they would just send me theirs. I'm like, okay, well, it's right there. So members, please read the member section. You need to understand it to get the pull. Today. You need to understand it to get the full picture of what this silencer is doing on the Mark 18. You will not understand what this silencer is doing on the Mark 18 unless you see the ear waveforms. Sure, I told you about the bolt closing signatures. We talked about it exhaustively, but you really need to see it, I think, to be like, oh wow. Like, I know. So, now then, how does the Polonium compare with other silencers on the gun? Well, let's scroll down. Scroll down to the, what is it? Figure 13. It's a big old bar chart. You got red and blue bars going horizontally there. Well, the Polonium's a barn burner, as they say. That's right. I'm starting to really like my charts in these reviews because they really put things in perspective. When you look at this chart, you're like, oh my God. Let me make my window a little bigger so I can see something here. Make my chart a little bigger. Yeah. Click on it there. Yeah, it's all big. So I like. Now, I wrote all this down in the review, but I want to go through it with you. You can look at the chart when I say this stuff. It's pretty cool. It's really great to see it graphically. I'm very visual, so I like that. You're a suppression rating category quieter or less intense or lower risk 1 meter left of the muzzle with the Polonium than you are with the Trash Panda. Now, remember, when I say a suppression rating category, I'm using that nomenclature to delineate an approximately 10-point differential. Because that's how I split up the categories on the dose chart. That's a dose chart. Hearing dose. You're being dosed when you shoot a silencer. You're being dosed. That's a dose chart. Hearing damage risk. You're 10 points less risky with the Polonium 1 meter left of the muzzle than you are the Trash Panda. Okay? So this is saying folks nearby the weapon, observing the firing of the weapon, will be subject to a hearing damage risk a category more safer than they would if the Trash Panda was on the gun. Okay, that's the practical difference in loudness. Okay, that's the practical difference in loudness. Okay, now, if you switch to a rugged Razor 762, on the Mark 18, same weapon system, you would then be, then you'd be putting bystanders near the weapon at even more risk. You'd be putting them at more of a risk compared to the Polonium, wouldn't you? That's right. The risk profile would then be severe by 2 categories. Now you're looking at approximately 20-point difference between the muzzle signatures of the Polonium and the Razor 762. That's 37.6 compared to 16.5. So 37.5 to 16.5. That's 20 points, dude. That's 2 categories. That's extreme. That's a very big difference in suppression rating. And that can actually induce a hazardous environment to the bystanders not wearing hearing protection. When you shoot a Mark 18 with a silencer that has a suppression rating as low as the rugged 762 at the muzzle, bystanders will be at a significant hearing damage risk. I'm saying that right now. Of that, you can be certain. If someone stands next to you shooting a rugged Razor 762 on the Mark, if you're shooting rugged Razor 762 on the Mark 18 with a 30 caliber end cap, and someone nearby is like, wow, that silencer sounds good, know that what they think sounds good is 2 suppression rating categories louder than the Polonium. So calibrate your expectations listening to that person, whoever they may be. Okay, I'm not speaking about anyone in particular, but I can tell you as an owner, as a personal owner of the rugged Razor 762 on a Form 4 that I've had for many years, and have shot it on 5.56, I can tell you that it's really loud. Okay, so I'm not saying you should look at YouTube reviews and see what they say about things, and then look at the data and see if it makes sense. But I am saying one could if they were so inclined. Now, why does this happen? Why are those 2 silencers, and I just picked them, pick the Trash Panda, the Helios QD, whatever, the Razor 762, why are those silencers so much louder than the Polonium to bystanders? Remember, even the Helios QD is louder than the Polonium and the Trash Panda to bystanders on this gun. Why? Why? It's bore size. Primarily, it's bore size. Specifically, high flow rate through the bore. Now, let's really get down to brass tacks. High flow rate through the bore. Okay, that's that nuance, though. That's right. This is overbore driving this. Why would you use this overbore? Notice how I said high flow rate through the bore, because technically, just because you have a big bore doesn't mean it has to be super loud, but you have to do something very special. Very few things do that, and that's actually beyond the scope of this discussion now. But why would you use overbore? You would want to reduce the back pressure, and having a bigger bore is one way to do that. That's why. Don't make it super complicated. A lot of people will talk about all these different reasons. They wanted to reduce back pressure and they wanted to reduce erosion. That's why people will make bores bigger. Also, to reduce the risk of baffle strikes. There's not many reasons why you make a bore bigger in a silencer. If silencer designers had their druthers, the bores would be as tight as possible because they would trap as much gas as they want. But that's just not reality and how silencers need to work on real guns. So that's why the bores get bigger, okay? Mystery solved. Move on. Now, why would you want to reduce back pressure? Well, it's because of what happens to the weapons when you use silencers like the Polonium. The bolt unlocks too early and you get high pressure out of the ejection port. Okay? So, with that being said, there are other ways to reduce back pressure. There are. besides overbore, you can let more gas flow through the silencer in different ways, and you can use flow pads other than that main axial bore axis. Okay? Through pads other than what the bullet passes through. Okay? Some silencers do that through various methods of porting. Some do it with alternate flow pads, some do it with both. Now, in the article, and let me click off this figure and go back, scroll down. In the article, I actually wrote this down. I did, yeah. In the article, I listed 4 ways of dealing with back pressure at the silencer level: overbore, baffle stack venting, annular venting, and continuous venting. Okay, write that down. Write those 4 down. Silencer overbore, baffle stack venting arrays, annular venting, and continuous venting, which is really lengthened flow path geometry. Okay, so which silencers are the most efficient at using their respective method of venting to reduce back pressure and also suppress sound? And what does that even mean? And does it have special requirements on a gun like the Mark 18? It does. And the answer is yes, it does. Now, do we need to go through these really quick to give you some context? Like, let's go through those 4. So overbore, silencer overbore, what does that? What reduces back pressure with overbore? Well, clearly the 30 caliber silencers. That's easy to, okay, cool. Baffle stack venting arrays. What silencers do that? Well, a couple of them do, but what's one of the best ones? What's some of the best baffle venting we ever see? Well, the RC2 series. We see it in the 556 RC2. You even see it in the 762 RC2. It's one of the magic beans, Annular venting. Who does that? Well, one could argue the Surefire somewhat does it, but really I'm talking more about the CGS style stuff, aren't I? Specifically, Hyperion K, Hyperion Helios DT. I'm looking in your direction. Immediate venting to annulus. Quite an interesting back pressure reducing mechanism. Quite unlike pretty much anything you see on the market. And then finally, the continuous venting, the lengthened flow path geometry. Who's doing that? Well, certain manufacturers do it here and there. OSS or Huxworks is probably the most well-known. And probably the folks that do it the best. Now, that's not necessarily true, but out of the ones that you've seen published. Okay? So, that's just those, and in the article I do say that those 4 mechanisms, those four mechanisms of optimizing silencer sound suppression and flow rate was what they do. That's thus balancing back pressure and sound suppression. Those 4 methods are what I'm looking into. Those are continued subjects of Pew Science internal research, and that's what I'm curious about. That's what we're learning about together. Now, the Mark 18 has a very short barrel. That's right, very short. I'm still, I've been holding this Polonium the whole time. It's like it's warm. I've been holding it so long, heat soaked from my hands. The more I hold it, the more I like it. I think aesthetically, if there's one thing I would change, it would be the end cap. I understand why they did it. It's actually very utilitarian, and things on it, I think, probably machined to reduce weight. Plus, you got the flash hider features. I just would do a little different. When I look at my Surefire RC2, I like the way it looks better. That's just a nitpicky thing for me, man. That's completely subjective. Has no bearing on performance at all. I'm just a diva. Silencer diva. That's me. Call me that. That's fine. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Now, the Mark 18 has a very short barrel. So what are the limits, though? We keep coming back to this, and I do talk about it like I'm going to give you some kind of answer. What are the limits? Like, if you must vent a lot, how much must you vent, and how much can you get away with? How much can you get away with when you're venting in your stack, in your silencer? How much can you get away with? Remember, the flow rate through a silencer and also the muzzle signature, which is involved in that, also influence the sound of the shooter's ear. You see how it's all tied together in a very complex fashion? If you vent too much too quickly and you don't do it in the proper way of one of the 4 ways I listed for the particular silencer, you will kill the muzzle signature, or you'll kill the ear signature, or both. You see, you can. You know what? There's a nuance here too. You know another nuance? You can see it with the Saker. Can't you? The Polonium has a little bit higher back pressure, right, than the Saker does. So both of them have high back pressure. But the Polonium is so much quieter at the muzzle that's actually helping the shooter's ear signature. Isn't that wild? See, both of them have additive ejection port signature components that are killing your ear. But the Polonium is that much better at the muzzle. And it helps. Isn't that crazy? And the Surefire actually reduces back pressure because of the porting, and it can be better at your ear. But it sacrifices some muzzle suppression in doing so. And that's what makes it more balanced. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul the other way, isn't it? That's right. It's a pretty balanced, dedicated bore 556 silencer, though. Because of that, I think the bore's tighter than the Polonium bore. It has lower back pressure than the Polonium, but it has a tighter bore. How? Porting. Yeah, RC2 is one of my favorite silencers for that reason. It really is. It is just so optimized for the Mark 18. When you start to try to balance using the overbore method, you start to get way louder at that muzzle, though, dude. It's really only until you do some special things like the OSS Helix stuff. I think I keep saying OSS, the Huxwork stuff. It's only until you do some special things that you're really able to drive the shooter's ear numbers. You want to drive that suppression rating at the shooter's ear up, but you don't want to tank that muzzle rating, do you, on this gun? There are some other things coming from Pew Science testing that you'll see some other silencers. It'll be interesting to see how they try. Now, is anything going to beat the OSS? Can anything come close to it at the shooter's ear? Gosh. And if so, what will happen at the muzzle? What can tame the Mark 18? Can anything on the market do it? Stay tuned, friends. That's right. So far, I think silencers like the Polonium are putting forth a valiant effort, I think, all in all. I mean, taming the muzzle blast from a 10.3-inch 5.56 Mark 18 is crazy, dude. It's absolutely ridiculous. But as we know, there's more to it than that. There's more to it than just taming that muzzle signature. Now, you all understand it now. You all understand it. Now, nonetheless, all that being said, hats off to Otter Creek Labs. It takes a pretty big effort to beat the RC2 and the Saker at the muzzle on a Mark 18, dude, in a silencer that works. And they did it. And I will say, remember, just because other companies might be capable of doing it too, does not mean they're doing it. And that, my friends, is the difference between should've, would've, could've, and do. And Otter Creek Labs certainly has they have bucket loads of do. They have a lot of do. They're doing it. So, good job, Andrew. You earned this one, man. Congrats, dude. I know some people probably downplayed it, man, but I mean, look at I'm going back to the review right now. I'm clicking on that chart, man, and I mean, it could be argued, other than the OSS, the at-ear ratings on the Mark 18 are pretty low for a combination of things, it's back pressure plus it's loud muzzle signature, and the Polonium beat the RC2 at the muzzle, man. You want to tune your gun? I didn't even talk about tuning in this podcast. I think I didn't want to make the episode too long. We can talk about that next time if you want. And if you're interested in that, let me know on social media. In fact, you know what? In the comments, let me know if you want me to talk about tuning. We'll talk about it next time. And I was telling Andrew I wanted to shoot the Polonium on my 11.5. I just haven't had time. I've been so dang busy. I had a lot of stuff to do this past weekend, and I was not able to shoot. But I do want to. Let's see how I can tune that out. I bet it sound good. So yeah, man, good job. And I think we'll be talking about that silencer again. I think you're gonna keep seeing stuff from Otter Creek Labs. I think they're here. So if you're one of their competitors, I wouldn't take them lightly, man. They're definitely making an impact. All right. Topic 2 at a time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 59. Oh. You know what? I missed the post. I'm going to redo it. 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 12 seconds. Sorry, guys. I'm not on my game today. Oh, my God. It's been one of those days. Topic 2. Are we experiencing a 5.56 silencer renaissance? Possibly. Survey says. Survey says. It's like the show. Yeah, I did a survey. I did a survey on the old Instagram stories there, as it were. Huge response, actually. I asked a simple question. And that question was, are we seeing a 5.56 silencer renaissance? It was a yes or no question, dude. Many votes. Got a lot of votes. So pretty large sample size from the followers of the Instagram account. I mean, I don't know what I'm up to now. Let me go to my phone. Let's see. Oh, okay. Phone blew up. Checking text. 1 second. Oh, I got to pause this 1 second. 1 second. I got to pause this. All right, sorry guys. Yeah, so the events that happened today, a lot of people that were affected. There were a lot of people affected today. Really, man, if you guys could really say some prayers, that would be really great for those folks. It is not cool. So, right, I completely forgot. The reason I had looked at my phone was every time 1 second. Sorry guys, every time I look at my phone, there's more text messages. So what I was gonna get Instagram here real quick. Okay, yeah, we're up to 26.5 thousand followers. So I don't remember. I'd have to look through everything. I'm not gonna do that now. I don't have time. I don't know how many people responded to the story poll, but it was a lot, dude. And so it's a pretty large sample size, and the sample population consists of really people familiar with firearms, new shooters, non-shooters, enthusiasts, tactical guys, military, law enforcement, pretty wide range of gun people, hunt a bunch of hunters. I'm just telling like the people that follow Pew Science, like on or the J Situation Instagram account. It's a lot, and I'm pretty engaged with a lot of them, so I have a pretty good idea. And there's a lot of new people that have no idea how it sounds like, but there's a lot of people that do. So it's a pretty wide ranging gun demographic, I guess. And the results of the question to, are we seeing a 5.56 silencer renaissance? 87% of you said yes, and 13% of you said no. It's interesting, isn't it? Isn't that interesting? 87% said yes. You know, I can tell you that of the people and I let this poll run 24 hours. I let it run to its entirety, okay? During prime time, okay? I put this up yesterday during prime time. I can tell you that of the people who actually responded to the story with a DM to elaborate on their vote, the vast majority were those with a huge emphatic yes, with very few. I mean, some gave me a no, and they had some thoughtful reasons. And I will tell you, most of the no votes were silencer manufacturers. Interesting, right? I got some today, like right before I started recording, people were like, yes, because of you. I was like, what? It's interesting. But why is that? Why would the overwhelming majority of people say we are seeing a 5.56 silencer renaissance? What is a renaissance? I use the word renaissance on purpose because it's a word that means something and it's quick to say. Another way to say it is a revival, or another way to say it would be a renewed interest. A renewed interest in something is called a renaissance. That's synonymous with that phrase. So 87% of people surveyed are saying there's a renewed interest in 5.56 silencers. I guess those people that took the word renaissance to mean that when they answered the question. Does it really matter, though, what the intent? Does it really matter? Are we going to play semantics right now? Or are we going to go with this? It's unscientific, but I think it's a peg point. It's one peg point that 87% of people surveyed say there's a renewed interest in 5.56 silencers. Also, Pew Science Analytics, that you don't have access to, show that 5.56 silencer data, meaning 5.56 performance from rifle silencers, is by far the most popular data. I mean, people are crazy for it. Now, does this mean that dedicated 5.56 silencers are what everyone wants now? No, I'm not saying that. So I think people are freaking out. I don't know that's what this shows. Okay, I'm not saying that either. But you are certainly seeing new, reimagined, and newly marketed 5.56 rifle silencers hit the street now, aren't you? And there's a huge demand for data for silencers like the YHM Turbo, for example. I know people are like, why haven't you released? Just be patient. The YHM Turbo, it's a dedicated 5.56 silencer, and it's been out a long time. They even reimagined it to the Turbo T2 with the new mount method. Turbo's been out forever, dude. The RC2 data was mad. It was the demand was maddening. Now, I mean, now what do you got? You got the rugged Razor 5.56 instead of the 7.62. You got the new Dead Air 5.56 silencer that's coming out. You got this Polonium that I just reviewed for you. You got other companies pushing to develop dedicated 5.56 silencers. Why? Why are they doing that? Companies I've spoken to about this agree with me that there's a hole in the market. Consumers are seeing that 30 caliber silencers tested by Pew Science are not as well suited for pure suppression on 5.56, at least on the Mark 18. They're seeing that. So, friends, I will give my vote. 87% of you said yes. 13% of you said no. I'm going to side with the yes votes and qualify it by saying, yes, there is a renewed interest in 5.56 silencers, and a lot of it's being driven by Pew Science data. And is that a bold statement? Absolutely. It's a pretty ballsy statement to make, too. It's pretty ballsy of me to say that. I mean, can I confidently say it? I think so, man. I mean, is the market way bigger than what Pew Science touches? Yeah, dude. I don't have delusions here. Like, I'm not delusional. Pew Science isn't that big, but things are getting bigger. And I would argue that the influence of Pew Science data on the market is now non-trivial. I think I'm at the point where I can say that with confidence, because I can tell you right now that I've been speaking with some silencer companies, individually, and they've been telling me some things they've been seeing with regard to Pew Science influence on the market and what their postulations are and what their analytics show. So here we are. It's just food for thought now. So I'm excited what the future holds for 556 testing, and I can honestly say the Mark 18 is still holding my excitement. I know it's not tuned, but boy howdy is it a good proving ground, this Mark 18. I'm actually starting to like it because of what it's showing us. On my screen here in front of me, I still have figure 13 in the Polonium. Oh my God. I just realized it's figure 13 and it's supposed to be figure 5. How did that happen? You know what I must have done? I'm going to do it right now I'm going to edit right now. Well, how are you guys doing today? I'm actually editing the website right now as we speak because that's going to bug me. I am so sorry I made that mistake. I feel really embarrassed, actually. I feel embarrassed that I made that mistake. It's a typo. I must have copied and pasted something. And figure 4. Okay, figure 4. That should be figure 5. Edit. Man, guys, I know. I'm off my game today. Apologize for that. Trying to do my best. All right, I'm going to do that. Figure 5. I'm going to change it here too. Got to make sure we don't have some consistency here. Make sure all the readers can not be confused and think they're missing literally everything when they're not missing anything. Okay, save. Okay. We fixed it, guys. I didn't get any comments that was wrong, so refresh the page to test it. Okay, it's fixed. Oh my gosh. That was in real time. I am the web programmer for Pew Science too. You see that I literally do everything. But yeah, so I think, when I look at that graph or that chart, figure 5 in the Polonium review, and I look at that and I see, do you see a lot of your signatures being similar? Absolutely. Is that a function of the fact that that the ejection port signature is there because it's not a tuned gun? Yeah, in some ways it is. But is there enough nuance to see differences? Yes. Is there enough differences in the muzzle suppression rating to see differences? Yes. Do we understand more about the 556 platform semi-auto than we ever did before? Absolutely. Are we seeing a lot of good silencer data? Yes. Bottom line for this topic, are we experiencing a 556 silencer renaissance? Yes, we are. Pew Science. All right. Topic 3 at a time of 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 57 seconds. Boom. Topic 3. There are significant parties in the firearm community who support this effort, who support Pew Science, and T-Rex Arms, man. And those other corporate members of the effort, they're helping in a big way. And the biggest supporters collectively are the consumers. Thank you for that. And I got a pretty big surprise. It was last night, actually. Lucas Botkin at T-Rex Arms. I like that guy, man. They support Pew Science. He shouted me out on a social media story. Because someone asked him, he did like a question series. Like I do those too, right? He did one, and someone asked him like, who are some good Instagram accounts to follow or something like that, and he listed me there, along with some very, very amazing people. And I was like, whoa, thanks, man. I was like, that's really nice. So I reposted it, telling him thank you. I think over 1,000 people followed me after that. Just from him doing that. That guy can move some traffic, man. I tell you what. Just that. Isn't that correct? Like that, isn't that like a big deal? Like that guy has a huge following and he supports the effort. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna throw this guy a bone. You need to support him more. Just get more, spread awareness about Pew Science even more. And he did it. Isn't that cool? Yeah, man. Companies like T-Rex Arms, all the dealers that support Pew Science, all the distributors, the manufacturers that support, it's a big deal. It helps a lot. If you don't know, I'm not sure how many of you guys know this, but if you go to the website, I probably need to make this link different so people will know, or put it somewhere else. I might make a completely different support page or something. If you go to the website and you hover over services and support and you click on get a quote, if you're on desktop and you do that, there is a list of Pew Science clients and corporate members there. And they have all their logos and icons, and their links to their websites. You can click them, and if you click them, go be patrons of those companies. Those companies are supporting Pew Science, and that's a really big deal because they're all cooperating. A lot of those companies are competing with each other. I'm not sure there's ever been anything like this before. I mean, there are some organizations that have some people that give money to them, but has anything like this to make this happen? I don't know, guys. I know there's stuff in the industry I work in, but outside of guns, but in guns, have we done this before? Maybe we have, but I certainly am proud of this that we're doing here. And so all of that support, and that's also shored up by consumers. Man, what a time to be alive, man, when you think about it. I think we're doing it. We're actually, and you know what's really, and this is gonna blow your mind. We're actually seeing silencers be tested now that are advancing and showing you what's possible. And I believe that's gonna be, well, let me say that more carefully. You will see silencers that exist because of Pew Science. They already exist. You've already seen some that are influenced by the fact that Pew Science is here. You're going to see stuff in the future. It's driven directly by Pew Science testing. There's big words I'm saying to you right now. There's big words. Stay tuned. Stay safe out there. I mean that, friends. I will talk with you folks again soon. Bye.